Welcome to No Longer Conformed, my online preaching and teaching ministry. We're studying the book of Matthew, the first gospel. In this session, we'll be looking at Matthew chapter 15, verses 29 to 39, a short memory and another picnic. This passage presents three things the Lord did for those in need of his ministry. First, he spared their suffering. Look at verses 29 to 31. Jesus departed from there, skirted the Sea of Galilee, and went up on the mountain and sat down there. Then great multitudes came to him, having with them the lame, blind, mute, maimed, and many others. And they laid them down at Jesus' feet, and he healed them. So the multitude marveled when they saw the mute speaking, the maimed made whole, the lame walking, and the blind seeing, and they glorified the God of Israel. Jesus gave a crumb of healing to the woman in the last passage, but here he serves a whole meal to those in need of healing. How did the people respond? Well, they marveled when they saw the mute speaking, the maimed made whole, the lame walking, the blind seeing. Psalm 118 and verse 23. This was the Lord's doing, and is marvelous in our eyes. Why did they glorify God? Because only God could do these miracles, and they knew it. It's easy to take for granted the many things God does each day. Second, he satisfied their hunger. In verses 32 to 38, there are two responses Jesus has to the multitude following him. First, he expressed his pity. Verse 32, now Jesus called his disciples to himself and said, I have compassion on the multitude because they have now continued with me 3 days and have nothing to eat. And I do not want to send them away hungry, lest they faint on the way. They were with Jesus for 3 days, no food. His mercy prompted him to feed them. With Jesus, there is enough mercy and grace for all who hunger. And then also Jesus displayed his power. Notice several things here. His disciples had trouble believing, verse 33. When his disciples said to him, where could we get enough bread in the wilderness to fill such a great multitude? And Jesus said to them, how many loaves do you have? And they said, 7 and a few little fish. They had already forgotten the feeding of the 5,000. And they'll forget this miracle too. In chapter 16, verses 9 and 10. Do you not yet understand or remember the 5 loaves of the 5,000 and how many baskets you took up? Nor the 7 loaves of the 4,000 and how many baskets you took up? Listen, how quickly we forget provisions of the past. God provides in a mighty way and we praise him. Then we need to trust him in times of little. And we find it difficult to walk in faith. The people experienced his power. They had trouble believing. The people experienced his power. Verse 35. So he commanded the multitude to sit down on the ground. And he took the 7 loaves and fish and gave thanks, broke them, and gave them to his disciples, and the disciples gave to the multitude. Jesus began with what was there. And even though the disciples did not show faith, he still used them. And the food was more than sufficient. Verse 37. So they all ate and were filled. And they took up 7 large baskets full of the fragments that were left. Now those who ate were 4,000 men, besides men and women and children. All ate and all were filled. Isaiah 55, verse 2. Why do you spend money for what is not bread, and your wages for what does not satisfy? Listen carefully to me and eat what is good, and let your soul delight itself in abundance. Psalm 65 and verse 4. Blessed is the man you choose and cause to approach you, that he may dwell in your courts. We shall be satisfied with the goodness of your house, of your holy temple. Jesus was from Nazareth, but he was born in the city of Bethlehem, the house of bread, the true bread of life from heaven. What is the proof that there was enough bread to feed all the people? They all were filled, and the leftovers filled up 7 baskets. Luke chapter 15, verse 17. But when he came to himself, he said, the prodigal son, how many of my father's hired servants have bread enough and to spare, and I perish in hunger? Isn't it interesting? He ended his ministry in Galilee, feeding the 5,000. He ended his ministry in the Gentile area, feeding the 4,000. And Jesus ended his ministry in Jerusalem with the upper room meal. He can spare physical suffering. Bring it to him. He can satisfy physical hunger. Just ask him. And then third, he sent them home. Verse 39. And he sent away the multitude, got into the boat, and came to the region of Magdala. Why did Jesus send the people to their homes? He fed them twice by miracles, but miracles are not to be the source of daily food. Mountaintop experiences are wonderful, but we serve in the valley. Intimate times with Jesus are needed, but we're witnesses in the world. Christians must be obedient to their ministry calling, and they must eat at their own table, trusting his daily provision. Jesus wants you to serve him by faith in your world and trust him to meet your needs. You give that thought.